Well, would you look at that? We somehow managed to make it to the end of 2025. If you are watching this, congratulations for making through such a chaotic year. Okay, I don't know if it's chaotic for you guys, but personally, I thought it was considering what happened this year. So in honor of your guys' support throughout this time and achieving milestones like the 10,000 subscriber mark, let's take a look at your guys' hot takes. I spewed out all mine all year, so might as well hear out yours. I guess this is becoming a yearly tradition at this point, huh? Anyways, I know I actually asked for a lot of hot takes, but not gonna lie, some of them have been pretty cold, and just to throw a curveball at you guys, I'm actually gonna do one of the coldest takes that I've seen so far when I'm asking you guys. This one being, Toy Story should have ended with the third movie. How many times have you heard this take before?
Rainchild Zeke Jr. Alright, I get it!
Okay, I know I shouldn't bring this up, but I'm doing it for two reasons. For one, All Is Selling here has been a long time supporter of this channel, and I feel like I should give some recognition for keeping me motivated to make content. But secondly, this gives me the opportunity to share my hot take for the year, which is, I disagree. The more I think about it, I'm actually kind of happy that Toy Story continued past the third movie. Keep in mind that Toy Story had a good amount of short films and TV specials after the third movie, showing the adventures of Woody, Buzz, and the rest of the group had as Bonnie's toys. I don't know about you guys, but I believe these short films and TV specials were actually banger stories with great premises, character arcs, and comedy. By saying Toy Story should have ended with 3 is technically saying that you don't like these short films and specials either, which is actually kind of a hot take now I think about it. Those short films and specials were well praised by critics and general viewers alike, similar to the full-length films. Now, I don't want to assume this is what All Is Selling meant by this take. They likely meant that Toy Story 3 should have been the last full-length film of the franchise, which I surprisingly also disagree with. Now, let me be clear, I agree that Toy Story 4 was not a necessary film, but the same thing could be said about Toy Story 2 and 3 as well. The first Toy Story was an incredible movie on its own with a very conclusive ending that didn't need a sequel to tie up loose ends. But Pixar made the second movie anyway, which itself had a conclusive ending too that Pixar went on to follow up. Toy Story 4 just continued what Pixar was doing with the franchise, which is to tell a new story that shows where the toys would go. Now, you could say the fourth film is the worst one out of all of them, which I can respect and even agree with, but that's the equivalent of saying Tim Cook is the poorest man among CEOs of huge multi-trillion-dollar tech companies. Yeah, he's the poorest, but he still has more wealth than 99% of humanity. With Toy Story 4, it may not be the best Toy Story film, but it was still an excellent film compared to most animated movies in my opinion. And as the fourth installment, it's likely the best we could have gotten. Nearly all the things we love from the previous Toy Story films are still present, from Woody and Buzz to Bo, to the amazing animation, to great humor, to the roller coaster of emotions we have grown accustomed to from most Pixar films. We can criticize the film for sure, and I actually have my own share of criticisms that I will share later in the next year, but in the end, it still provided great value for the people who watch the film in some way. And if that's the case, whether or not this film was necessary is irrelevant. Overall, I think people use the necessity argument too much when it comes to sequels generally, especially Toy Story sequels, including the upcoming 5th installment. Everyone is pointing out how unnecessary it is, but I believe we should still have an open mind going into watching this movie, and I know Pixar is doing everything they can to make sure this movie will be as good as they can make it. So we just have to keep an open mind on how Toy Story 5 will turn out. But yeah, I can go on about this topic alone, but there are other takes that are hotter than this. As far as being a hot take, I mean 0 out of 10, this is the coldest take ever. But as far as how much I agree with it, also like probably 3 out of 10, so sorry All Is Selling, but this take I just don't vibe with at all, like in regardless of what aspect you look at it. But I can still respect the opinion, all things considered. Like, thank you for the support, and I hopefully will increase my output in video production later in the year, but I'll get to that in a moment. Anyways, the next hot take that I'll respond to is from Star Wars Fanboy, and most of it I can't really respond just because either I don't know much about the topic or I have not even seen said show or movie. But the one I will look into is this one. The hate towards Disney these days, the animation studio, not the company, is getting tiresome and it needs to stop. Now, I will agree that it's getting tiresome, but I don't think it should stop. Truth be told, like, scrutiny for animation studios is probably something that we should continue doing. Now, I will say, like, people don't give enough credit to animation studios, sure. Criticism towards these companies should always be there, because otherwise, like, they cannot learn from their mistakes. And I'm sure the people behind these studios, like the actual people like working with them, they do take them by heart. So yes, this take is, yeah, correct. I mean, I don't even think it's a hot take, but I just think that it seems a little misguided in the sense that do you genuinely believe that a lot of the hate is actually towards the people who are in the animation studio? I mean, as far as I know, most of the, like 99% of the hate like towards Disney is towards the company. Like, I actually knew people who work at Disney, so I know for a fact that they are working hard, and those people should not really get any scrutiny. I mean, if you're a creative lead, maybe you can give some criticism, but never really hate. Any hate that you should give towards Disney, it should always be towards the company. So overall, that take, I mean, I agree, but I don't even know if that's even the case for most people. And then last one, like, I'm more excited for Hoppers than Toy Story 5. Okay, I mean, for the general audience, that is actually a hot take just because people know more about Toy Story 5 than Hoppers. But among the animation fans like us, I'm pretty sure this is a pretty cold take. But I do agree. I am more excited for Hoppers than Toy Story 5. So, as far as being how hot and cold it is, I mean, 3 in terms of how hot it is. But in terms of how much I agree with it, yeah, I give it a 8. But yeah, anyways, next take I have found is actually a pretty long one, and it's from Switch Speedster, and they write, filler episodes are something that shows nowadays desperately needed. I'm gonna assume when it comes to filler episodes, we're referring to filler episodes in the context of Western animated shows. Filler is honestly a overused term that has been overgeneralized. It used to refer to episodes in anime or in a manga where it's not canon to the main storyline, but now people are just using that to describe episodes that they don't like in a series that they happen to like. I mean, Gravity Falls, Molly McGee, Amphibia, The Owl House, and whatever. All those shows, they have what some animation fans refer to as filler episodes, which, honestly, I just feel like we should just stop using that term entirely and just leave it in the anime space and don't really use it at all for Western animated shows, because Western animated shows don't really have non-canon episodes. The true definition of filler just means an episode or storyline that does not contribute at all to the main continuity. And with Amphibia at least, there's only one episode that you can technically say is filler, which is the Shut-In. I mean, Matt Raleigh confirmed that episode is evergreen, which means that it's not canon, but it does fit within the continuity to some degree. And yes, that is filler, but every other episode within the show does contribute to the continuity, and it is canon, so therefore they're not filler. They're just episodes that just may not be as intense or have much plot significance compared to, like, say, like True Colors or the Temple episodes. But it is still important in terms of character development and just like getting the audience to actually like and appreciate these characters more. I'll combine this take with one from Jay on Twitter, who basically just says filler is an overused term. So yeah, I very much agree with this take, and honestly, it's a take that I agree with it so much that I actually made 2 videos on it before, and it's those videos that actually did pretty well early on in this channel's history. So I may actually do a redo of that, just because, I mean, I feel like I've gotten a bit better in terms of making videos like since then. So, and I feel like I want to elaborate more on that point in terms of like the broader aspect of talking about animated shows and not just with Amphibia. But I'll save that for another time. So, I mean, in terms of how cold this take is, I mean, I don't agree using the term filler, but in terms of like episodes that are not plot heavy and more so just centered around character development and just getting the audience to like the characters, I do agree that is something that is desperately needed in shows. So, putting off the term aside of filler, I do agree with this take. So, in terms of how cold it is, or in terms of hot and cold it is, I mean, I don't know, I think it's probably a 5 out of 10 in terms of how hot, But I will say, in terms of agreement, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Moving on. Okay, so next one is a combination of comments, honestly. And I've seen a couple people mention how K-pop Demon Hunters is overrated. Now, when you talk about whether a piece of media is overrated, there's two ways that you can think about it. Whether like the movie or show, like the way it's made and such, is that overrated in the sense that like, does it have a good story? Does it have great characters? Or like, does it have emotional impact? Like, is it like, say, quote unquote, cinema? Is it like that? In terms of K-pop Demon Hunters, I mean, to some degree, kind of. Don't get me wrong, the animation and the music are incredible. And the characters are very likable, and I like to see more of them in future films or in whatever format that we can see them at. But the writing is, I mean, to put it lightly, it's kind of average at best, or maybe slightly above average. I mean, it's not terribly written. I mean, it has a cohesive plot with a beginning, middle, end, and it's relatively easy to understand and follow. But it's nothing extraordinary, and if anything, towards the end the story sort of contradicts itself with its own themes. I mean, I mentioned this before in my one video where I did talk about K-pop Demon Hunters, and the idea of like Rumi's supposed to accept herself being part demon while at the same time mercilessly murdering other demons. I mean, doesn't that seem a little contradictory? I mean, it looks really good, all things considered, but yeah, it just doesn't make sense in terms of a writing perspective. So I will say it is overrated as far as being a piece of cinema goes. But in terms of just being a cultural phenomenon, I honestly think it deserves the hype. So that, I think that's the other sense of it. Like, is K-pop Demon Hunters overhype? And to that, I say, not really. Like, if I genuinely enjoyed seeing the hype that it got. Specifically just because, when was the last time you've seen an original movie get as much hype as KPDH? And the things that people are hyping it up are not necessarily for the things that it does average, which is the writing. People are not really praising the writing, they're praising everything else, from the animation to the songs in particular. And yes, the characters, like which are probably the two best things that the movie has done. And to that I say, yeah, I wouldn't say it's overhyped at all. So as far as like the take goes, like, is it overrated? I will say it is a hot take, just because I'm sure the vast majority of the internet likes K-pop Demon Hunters, so I would say, yes, it's a very hot take, and in terms of how hot, probably 9 out of 10, or maybe, okay, scratch that, 8 out of 10 actually. But as far as like how much I agree with it though, I give it a 5 out of 10. I will agree that it's not that great of a cinematic film as all things considered, but it's still a great film that is very entertaining, all things considered. And if it's a great entertaining film at the end, then why does it matter if it's a cinematic masterpiece? Alright, so next one is from Jin from Twitter, and this one's also not really a hot take, but I just want to respond to it anyway. Disney TVA has fallen off since Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. So, okay, it's fallen off in one aspect, which is, yeah, there's no story-driven cartoons anymore, and the ones that did remain after Moon Girl, like, kind of sucked. Sorry, Haley's on it fans. I mean, okay, now, to be clear, I mean, that show was actually, it's a fine show, all things considered, but as being as a story-driven show, it was not great at all. But anyway, back to the take. So yes, it has fallen off, but I wouldn't say it died out. I mean, objectively speaking, Disney TVA is still around, and it's still kicking with some pretty decent shows. I mean, with one of them being, of course, Phineas and Ferb, which, honestly, that alone is the reason why I still have a bit of hope for Disney TVA, just because they're doing Phineas and Ferb revival pretty well. But as far as new original content goes, there's no denying that Disney TVA is kind of washed at this point. I mean, as much as I like Stugo, I highly doubt they will get a season 2 at this point, considering I haven't heard anything from what's going on with that show ever since I posted that video. I mean, part of me made that video actually in hopes that it would gain some traction and get people to watch that show, because I actually did genuinely like it, and I would watch a season 2 in hopes that it would fix a lot of the issues that it had, and it develops into a much grander story about the island. Because, I mean, as much as I really like the characters of the show, of course, the lore of it actually does seem pretty interesting, and you can explore the lore without becoming a story-driven cartoon like Gravity Falls, for example. I hope that show continues, but as Jin points out, like, yeah, hopes are not really high considering what has happened ever since Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur ended, and especially ever since How Molly McGee ended. So, in terms of how cold it is, I mean, so it's definitely very cold. So 2 out of 10 in terms of heat. But as far as how much I agree with it, I would say I would give it a 7 out of 10. I would probably put it up higher, but I'm just putting it at 7 for the simple fact that there has been at least one show that I did like ever since Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur ended, which was of course Stugo. It hasn't been outright cancelled yet, so hopefully there's a chance that it does continue, but that's besides the point. I mean, sorry if I butchered the take. I mean, honest, and if you're wondering why I'm just like rambling on and on, I mean, for one, welcome to Marjo Rambles, but secondly, I don't have a script right now, so you're hearing me purely ramble for once. Anyway, so the video has been going on quite a while now, and I don't have much time to edit it, so I end it off from here. So if you have any more hot takes though, feel free to write them down in the comments below, and please give this video a like, and subscribe for more content like this. With all that said, thank you all for watching this video. I hope you all had an excellent 2025. See you all in the next year.